How long gone? It is a gloomy Thursday in New York. Jason, I feel like it's the same where you are. Is that true?
It is true, bro. It's giving gloom. We're in the middle of a rainstorm. We might get 1 inch today. It's going pretty loco.
Okay. So the yard is gonna wash away, but you're gonna live through it. Is my hope.
I mean, we totally needed it though. Like honestly, except for the part where it creates flash floods after the biggest fire in the history of California. But otherwise,
it's totally fine.
Super needed it.
Otherwise, it's totally fine. I'm having a nice, just regular cup of coffee, like a working man's special. It's my blue collar cosplay during the winter.
Okay, so you normally drink your Cafe Integral, Ecuadorian blend. Some type of animal eats it and shits it out. It costs $48 a pound. You're having Dunkin'. What are you drinking? How blue collar are we getting? How every man is your Java?
I just go to the bodega and say light and sweet and kind of walk out of there.
You do not do that. I need to
I would never
shoot it to me straight, Jack.
I would never do that. I go to Cafe Integral and I get a delicious cup of regular coffee instead of a 4-shot cortado, iced cortado. So I'm not only saving money, but
how much was this everyman coffee?
Everyman coffee, cup of coffee at Integral is probably like $3, $3.50 maybe.
No way.
Is that low or is that high?
That's low. Coffee hasn't cost $3 in New York City in 10 years.
No, I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me look at my American Express app.
No, there's a good chance that they have
$3.81 with I tipped, of course.
That's impressive,
my guys.
Okay,
but is that cheap? Because I do feel like coffee just hovers around $10 now. Somehow, and like that's just kind of what it is.
Yeah, like a coffee in New York to be under $5 is kind of unheard of.
Well, I think the only thing you can do is get the drip coffee and no accoutrement. You know, I think that's the only. I think it is an espresso might cost more.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
for sure.
Wow, I've never thought about that. Sometimes less is more.
And espresso costs more. It requires more labor, but it has less caffeine.
That's part of the reason I embraced the coffee, because I also did hot yoga today for the first time in a while, so I felt kind of crazy, and I needed a real pick me up before I talked to you.
I'm in the middle. I had a coffee that was so strong and powerful. I had to put it down. I had to put the cup down.
You had to put no day free. You had to put the cup down.
It was a life or death put the cup down situation, or else I would be. I mean, like I'm sweating right now. I mean, I just got out of the sauna, so that's the main reason. But like my body it's too twerking, so I had to put down the cup. It's my gorilla gas, creatine, MCT oil, whipped up. Shout out to our Mud Water family for giving me one of those USB Bluetooth whisks to froth up your beverage.
Oh yeah. I always wondered who used those, but I'm glad to know it's you.
I mean, you could guess how many free ones of those I've had in my entire life.
Is this the first time you've used one?
No.
Like kept it and used it? Okay.
No. I've had many e-whisks through the years.
E-whisk.
I guess, and speaking of beverages, I wanted to give a shout out to a listener named Anna who broke her jaw and has to drink all of her meals. Oof. And it sounded something like something sweet and psycho. It's a nightmare, but it sounds like a great way to lose weight. She said,
"Oh yeah,
Soylent, soup, and smoothie for dessert. That's about it."
What do you think about that? I was hoping she was just going to go to Popeyes and get a bucket, grind it up. You know what I mean? Add water.
I mean, she didn't say what kind of smoothie it was. You dig?
That's what I'm saying. It's funny you bring that up because I saw Jeremy Silverman last night, and he had been at Lazaroff, the kind of Austrian.
Is that where Pete Davidson got all of his tattoos removed?
No, it's like it's a famous kind of wellness retreat where you don't eat. You don't eat. It's originally from Austria, but he went to one in Germany, and he was saying how good he felt. He was flying. He said it was unbelievable. It's very expensive, but apparently it really works. And I feel like you can't be that disciplined in your normal environment. You have to go somewhere and really take it. But it sounded amazing.
I know some motherfuckers who need to go to that laser off shit in my life. I'll tell you what. I know some motherfuckers who are not doing so well, they need to go do a little apple cider vinegar reset.
I wish it was that. It's like some weird, it's like
No,
weird.
I mean, well, there's a Netflix show called Apple Cider Vinegar where it's like a true story about these wellness influencers, and one of them faked having cancer to become famous in the space, whatever. But she goes to one of those places where it's like they take your phone, 9 p.m. guided meditation, 10 p.m. Water and sound therapy, and then you have papaya seed extract. But basically like you put your phone down and you stop eating Cheez-Its for a week, and then you finally break up with that guy or whatever,
I'm not going to watch that show. I've been getting a lot of ads for it. For some reason, it doesn't work. It doesn't feel like it's going to work for me.
It's rated well. The girl who's not Jonah Hill's sister in Booksmart does a convincing Australian.
Oh yeah, I do like her. I like her. She's funny. A convincing
like a tuna in the boat. Chris is back.
I
got him.
Australian accent is always anybody doing one, much like we do. I want to hear the competition.
Mm-hmm. So like that song "Tequila" makes her clothes fall off. An Australian accent makes yours fall off. That's your tequila?
That's my Don Julio. That's my 1942.
The voice of an Aussie.
The voice of an Aussie?
Makes my fear of God's sweats fall off. Oops, there goes my fear.
Oops. Go ahead.
Speaking of Skeet Davidson, he lasered off all his tats as well as his swag sauce.
Nah, I think I love it.
Speaking of Jonah Hill, it's sort of like when a fat actor loses the weight. When he... For some reason, I don't want to fuck him anymore if I were into that.
I love the Reformation thing. I think it's actually fun. Like, the video's actually funny, and everybody got paid $1 million, and it took an afternoon. And I think that's a great... That's just smart. Reformation smart for hire. That's like perfect for their demo, and it's smart for him to be like, I need to do an underwear ad to show people I don't have tattoos anymore, instead of just talking about it. I feel like that's the only way to really illustrate it and get paid for it.
Yeah, but it's not cool. Just the same way it's not cool to be like, hey, you got like wear a shirt that has a thing where you can see your tattoo, or like does anyone want to see my tattoo? It's equally not cool to show off your untattooed body, I would say. Or like I
disagree. I disagree. I think if you're a male
to do a
actor
press release about the way your skin looks, that's fucking
he didn't
stupid.
I don't think he did I don't think he did a press release about how his skin looks.
I think he did more or less.
Yeah, but if you get paid $1 million to take your shirt off and you were going to do it anyway, what difference does it make?
It's true. Well, I think the lesson that we've learned is, I mean, you're the only person I know who thinks that it looks good. Everyone else I've talked to, gays, girls, straights, whatever, they're like, he lost his magic, His tattoos were some of the worst tattoos I've ever seen. He had Shaolin tattooed on his stomach. Like, I would rather look like a burn. I'd rather look like a burn victim. I'd rather look like a burn victim and spend $1 million to get them removed. Yeah, that Mars attacks.
No, the tattoos were too. I mean, they're not even.
His
funny.
Tattoos were awful, but like when you have 500 bad tattoos, it all blends into one sweet and psycho blend. I keep saying sweet and psycho, but like he had like that line cook energy where it's like, I don't care.
Line cooks have better tattoos. That's what I'm trying to say. I understand where you're coming from, but he did not achieve what you're talking about. I understand exactly what you mean. No, he did not. He looked like a fucking idiot.
Everybody in the world.
He's still gonna fuck everybody in the world. Just his dick's gonna work now because he's sober. It's going to be better.
We don't know that.
He's definitely.
We don't know that.
He's not going to have any. There's no downside except his bank account.
All right, we got to do another Super Bowl style bet. I bet that he lost his swagoo, and you say swagoo gained.
I'm not going to say gained.
Neutral swagoo.
Neutral. I'm going to say neutral swagoo. yeah. I'm going to say the swagoo
Carolyn
is neutral.
Is in the sauna right next to me, and so she's not hearing your side of the convo, so she's just hearing her husband scream the phrase "neutral swagoo" into the void.
It's not. I'm telling you, dude. It's not. It's not. I mean, he needs to do like a movie that's good or something that's good at some point. But
what else you got? That ain't gonna happen.
That I agree.
All right. Well, yeah. A shout goes out to you, Skeet. I'm sure you're still gonna do fine, but I'm at half mast. Do you want to introduce our guest, Chris?
Yeah, we do have a guest today. The artist Doug Aitken is joining us. He lives in
Aitken or Atkin?
Aitken, I guess. Aitken. I don't fucking. What's up? How do you say it? Say your last name. Aitken. All right, fine. I was close.
Yeah, Doug's got a couple. He's got a show. He's got 2 shows, and we're gonna talk all about it. But he's an artist who's done a billion things over the years. Will we talk about him? Maybe I know he's an ambient music head. He's into African rhythms, cool
Wow, okay.
sculptures.
Ambient music. I'll hang up now.
Done.
All right, let's give Doug a call. Oh, what's up, Doug? How are you?
Hey, there you are. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us. Are you coming to us from LA?
Live from Venice Beach.
Okay, so you choose to live in. Are you like a lifelong Venice guy?
I'm getting there.
Okay, sure.
It depends on when he dies.
The way time works, right, is okay. So I've always been fascinated with the Venice lifestyle and what drew you there, because I don't personally get it.
Yeah, we are sort of Venice haters. And obviously, I'm sure you're living a beautiful, magical life in Venice, and many people I know do. I'm in Glendale on the east side, so I don't really have a leg to stand on in this brawl. But, you know, if you were to pitch Venice to a couple Venice haters, what would you say?
I think my pitch would be, it's Land's End. The continent just kind of stops here and it drops. And
No, don't pitch to the unhoused people, to a couple of guys like us.
No, honestly, that's a very dramatic way to put it, but I kind of appreciate it.
I mean, they say you tilt America on its side and everyone rolls to LA or Florida, right?
I've never heard that.
Doug won't even talk.
no, I'm going mute.
Okay. Great convo. Okay, so I was in Venice. I went to a restaurant called River with no vowels last week. Have you been there?
Yeah. It used to be Mountain with no vowels.
Mountain with no vowels. I was about to say
It's actually
the food, the cuisine has changed. The vowels have remained the same.
The song remains the same.
Yeah, song remains the same. What do you think about that restaurant? Yeah? Nah?
I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's good. It's kind of Japanese rural concoction.
Yeah, like a Japanese home style kind of vibe.
Yeah, sans sushi.
Okay, sure.
And sans Japanese people.
I didn't know that it I don't know if I realized it was Japanese. Mountain was also Japanese though, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense then. I did go to Mountain, but it's been a long time.
And Chris, where are you right now?
I'm in New York.
Okay.
I'm in New York. It's hell on earth right now, kind of. Just really not a lot of sun, not a lot happening, a lot of sludge. We're in that phase of New York winter. I think you live here sometimes, right?
Yeah.
What neighborhood are you in here?
Kind of Broadway and 11th, kind of a Strand bookstore.
Oh, baby, that's prime time. That's good stuff. I love that part of town. I've considered it. You got in early though, I bet.
Super early.
Yeah, I guess on that subject, you look very good for your age that we won't talk about. You seem to really have a youthful glow and spirit about you that I guess Chris and I try to embody, but you're really doing a great job at it. Any secrets other than being pure of heart?
I guess low resolution on a tiny screen.
Okay, sure. Low res helps. We
don't want megapixels. We want baby pixels.
Yeah, there'll be no 8K around here.
No 8K.
I'm anti 8K. I'm anti all that. We don't need that stuff. We just don't need it. Regular people don't need to watch TV at that resolution. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, how many Ks do you think we need, Doug? At what point do we cross into the, what is it called?
Yeah, I think we could take it back to pixel vision.
Okay, we want to go all the way back.
Yeah, I want to go really primitive.
Okay.
You want 8-bit?
I'm kind of with you. I remember the first time I noticed that weird thing that happens on the TV where people just don't look good anymore, and I was so confused that this is what we were working towards and paying more to have. Like, this was the best of the best, and it looked worse, in my opinion.
Uncanny Valley, that's what I was thinking of.
But this is where we are.
Yeah.
I think it's only going to get worse from here. But that, for your purposes, we'll be fine on Zoom.
I will not be seeing you in person.
No, you don't want to see me in person either. I look terrible. So I understand where you're coming from.
But isn't it kind of it's actually kind of interesting how resolution is like a time code for different decades, different generations.
Totally.
You look back in the 80s and there's a VHS look, a Betamax look, and everything's kind of this pixelated video. The depth of field is a little bit messed up. You kind of go before that, it's film. And I think it's kind of interesting because it's almost as if we have this collective memory, but our memory is also what medium it's burned into.
I think cars as well. You can look at a car and be like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And if you're a car enthusiast, the same as resolution. Would you agree?
Yeah, we just had this meeting 5 minutes ago with these guys who are doing kind of amazing, like, musical reissues, experimental releases. And, at one point they say, we've got to turn you on to quadraphonic. We've got this quadraphonic setup here. And here's a chip, and you can solder it into your receiver, and you can have quadraphonic. And I had total respect. But even when I was a child, I didn't hear quadraphonic. It wasn't even part of my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Could you explain to the lay person listening what that is? Is that like stereo but double?
Yeah, I believe it's kind of a 1970s, stereo but double. 4 speakers, sound kind of moving across, creating a beautiful soundscape. Probably like a very, very primitive, 5.1, 7.1 kind of thing.
Okay.
Atmos.
The idea of having to solder something into your receiver does feel like a step too far.
Yeah, but if you're into that kind of shit, you're into that kind of shit.
That's true.
Like I don't want to have it soldered. I don't want to work. I don't want to take my car in to get fixed. I want to do it myself. I think there's a lot of
how do you
there.
listen? How do you listen to music, Doug? Do you listen on AirPods like a normal person, or are you an audiophile?
I'm not too much of an audiophile, but I do love a great speaker setup.
Sure,
but
sure.
I kind of take what I can get. I kind of forage. I'm kind of constantly listening to music and constantly searching. So it could be one broken speaker, it could be something incredible. But as long as it's emitting sound waves and they're pushing against my skin, I'm good.
I'm kind of with you actually, because I don't care about high fidelity, but I'm also not going to argue about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that's how it's presented to me and I like what's coming out, I'm good with it. But I think that the audiophile, like listening room culture has gotten to a point where I don't know if I believe anyone anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does this really sound different, or do you think it sounds different because you spent this much money?
Mm-hmm.
We'll never know.
But I did have a moment of like absolute seduction, and we're kind of making an album right now. It's a song cycle. We're mixing it, and
what do you mean? What do you mean by song cycle?
So one of the new projects is called Lightscape, and it's kind of based on a series of vocal song cycles. Words, sentences that repeat, sung by layers of voices. And we've been working on this for a long time. It's kind of the skeleton underneath this film installation. It kind of suggests the narrative as it goes, and right now we're mixing it, and we're kind of bringing it back into the studio and trying to really do something with it, and so it can really live on its own. And I found myself in this kind of home studio, but it just had this amazing studio monitor system. And it got to a point where I couldn't leave it. I had to go back there to hear anything. I had to.
You're like, I'm sleeping here. You guys leave. I'm pulling out the sleeping bag. I'm good to go.
Yeah. I went home and looked up how much it cost, because I was like, can I just make a room that just has 2 speakers in it? And I can just hibernate in there on Sundays or something. But, I had to back out a little bit, because I realized, there's other things I have to take care of in life.
Sure. Sure. You have to keep the lights on.
Do you have a ballpark on what these speakers were going to run you?
Yeah, they're about 18,000. They're UK speakers, studio monitors. They just sounded beautiful.
And this is something you'd never encountered before, like brand wise or style wise?
No, not brand or style. And it was just kind of, I think, maybe you find the perfect wine, or you find, a moment where the sunlight is just so, it's so sublime. And this is just kind of one of those moments where just something struck me. And
I like that you were listening to your own shit too. That makes it extra good.
Yeah. Well, the problem was, once I turned those speakers off and listened to it with some other shit, it didn't quite sound good at all.
You're like, all right, we gotta redo this whole thing. We're fucked. We gotta start over.
It's like when you go to Erewhon and you get the really expensive milk, and you're like, I can't go back.
I hear you guys are really big in Erewhon.
How did you pronounce Erewhon? Erewhon?
That's nice. I was gonna say, you put a little sauce on that.
I'm not a professional like you.
You put a little sauce on that.
It was very Latin. I like that.
I like that too. We're big on. I think it's one of life's great social experiments that is maybe some of the best people watching in the world. I'll say that. Mm-hmm. At least in the West Hollywood location. I can only speak for my local. Venice is probably a little more freaky.
Mm. Yeah, you get to see a bunch of people who shouldn't have that much money having that much money.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's a there's a certain display of wealth going on when someone is doing an entire Ralph style grocery shopping at Erewhon. Like the cart is overflowing and you're just kind of calculating how much they're spending, and it's mind blowing.
Amazing.
Are you an Erewhon friend? Are you an Erewhon fan, Doug?
I don't frequent it too much, but there's one quite close.
Hmm.
I did get I got kind of a 911 call like at the early pandemic, and it was a period where everything was being like taken off the shelves. People were raiding the supermarkets, and my friend said, there's something to the extent of like, I just got word from the National Guard that like, you've got to get food and hoard it quick and go to the nearest place. And I looked, and the nearest place was Erewhon. And I said, yeah, this is going to be an awkward moment. I go in and like the shelves are almost completely bare, and there's people who have all the means in the world, like tug of warring over some bottled water from Austria, and it was kind of like this beautiful pandemonium. It was kind of this like Portlandia moment where this kind of like harmonious, entitled the garden suddenly became complete anarchy.
I would love to see like rich people in sweatpants tug of warring gluten-free bread for survival. I do think that is.
It has a real "get the fuck out of my way" if that's okay with you kind of energy, which can only really happen at Erewhon.
That is to be forced to go there in that situation. I feel like you saw something you would have never seen otherwise. So at least there's that.
Oh, you asked me why I like Venice.
Yeah, exactly.
Way to bring it back. I was reading your interview or in interview with Beck. I believe it started out with saying that your goal for the current show that's up, where are we now and where are we going? That interview happened right before the fires and lots of crazy stuff that happened in LA in the last couple of months. Where do you think we are now, and where do you think we're going?
Yeah, I mean that's certainly a question, right? And I think that it's been a wild and tumultuous like month or so, and I don't know where you guys were posted up when the fires were raging, but I think for us here, you could really see like this, amphitheater view of the Palisades in Malibu, and day after day. And I think how relentless it was, how it wasn't an isolated moment that happened for a day or 2 days, but it just went on and on and on. And I think that was really, it was really something that I haven't really seen something like that in this city before, and the kind of the marathon, not the sprint quality to it, and there's no question. There's a lot of friends, a lot of people we all know who have lost everything, lost their houses, But I think we're also seeing a city that's in transition, and to me, it's been very profound seeing Los Angeles kind of rallying and a lot of like grassroots moments. A lot of people getting together, donations, fundraisers. I call up someone and they're like, "Hold on, I'm loading groceries over in Altadena right now, and giving them out on the street or something."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's really painting a different portrait of Los Angeles than I think many people think of.
Yeah, it took a disaster this grand to make such a city full of shitty people come together. You know what I mean?
What do you think the recovery looks like? Do you think that it's possible?
Are you going to stand your ground?
Yeah, I'm definitely staying. I mean, I think it's isolated areas. They're large areas, but a lot of the kind of burn turf is fire trails. It's areas of brush. It's areas that aren't really populated. But one of the things, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but kind of as the days progressed, the first day you would get a lot of messages from people you knew who were in the same city as you. And then it was people in New York and parts of America. It's kind of every day a wider and wider band came. You wake up and by like the fifth or sixth day, I was getting texts from people in Cambodia and Indonesia and like Mumbai.
Sure. Like it finally made it to Mumbai.
Yeah, it kind of made it to Jakarta. This girl that I've only had a coffee with once at lunch in Jakarta. I get this heartfelt message like, "Are you okay? Are you alive? Please tell me your heart is beating." I'm kind of like like, who are you? I don't remember you at all. What?
Yeah, like what? Why do you care if I'm alive or dead? That's
you Don Draper the Jakartan. That was cool.
It is funny how that works.
I got a lot of those texts from a lot of people who I did not think cared about me at all. But you see it on the news and it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Also, I think when you see it on the news, it was pretty unbelievable. Like some of the photos and like the video footage, like especially if you don't know California or Los Angeles, it's pretty unbelievable to see.
Yeah,
it's so unbelievable they put it on Jakarta local news. So that's big.
I mean, but also like the editing of the news day after day. It's only it's wide shots, full frame of a fire at nighttime, or it's detail of a burn. And I think it was kind of something that reflected to me on just the process of news in general, like how it's so much about the editing and the cropping and the isolation of the action versus everything surrounding it.
Oh yeah, there's not a lot of nuance in those 2-minute packages when they're reporting on tragedy. They're kind of trying. I mean, because it's like everything else, it's a ratings game, and they got to keep you entertained. Is really what I mean. Obviously, their job is to give you the facts, but the real job is to keep you entertained and keep the ratings high.
Yeah, I never watch the news, and I was watching it every fucking day.
Yeah, I don't watch that.
Because
I'll look at the newspaper.
Maybe something will happen.
I don't watch like MSNBC. I feel like that makes you crazy.
Doug, the Super Bowl just happened. How long until they ask you to do a Super Bowl? Produce one.
Well, I guess you haven't seen my dancing.
No, I haven't seen your I haven't seen your dancing.
Start at the start with a little dance, and then we'll work our way up to orchestrating the whole thing.
I'm sure you have great rhythm.
But is that something that you've ever thought of as somebody who produces, grand scale visual sound, moments like that? Has that ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, good point. I mean, I think that might not really be my audience. You could say
we don't know that. I mean, what is your audience?
It wasn't Kendrick Lamar's audience either. They still let him do it. So I mean,
that's a very good point. Maybe next year's a possibility.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible. But I do think that once you start doing stuff on the scale that you do it, like where is the line? You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's what Jason's kind of getting at. Is that like it really can be bigger and bigger if you have that ambition based on what you've done in the past.
Yeah, I think for myself, the projects I make, the art that I'm involved in, it's not about scale or bigness, but it's more about creating new possibilities, other options. For myself, when I look at any part of culture, whether we're talking about music or visual arts or film, they all are kind of surrounded by silos. They're surrounded by systems that are, often very capitalistic, that kind of, entrench them, and it makes a pattern that you repeat over and over. You go see the band, they play in the same arena, the same venue, the same place again and again and again, and that space has to book it. And we find that same situation in contemporary art. We find, the museum and the gallery is it. And I think for many people, that's where you go to see art, and that's it. It's kind of an absolute. And, for myself, I'm very interested in other possibilities. I think that really, I am inspired when I am taken on a journey and I discover something in a space that I would never expect, or I'm drawn out into the desert or the mountains, and I have an encounter with something that's completely unpredictable. So, I think a lot of the projects that I do are they're looking for other alternatives.
What do you think is the least capitalistic form of art?
Don't say graffiti.
That's what I think it is.
No, it is. It probably is graffiti. Honestly, it might be.
Of course, it's graffiti.
Yeah,
you're creating something for zero money, risking your life and criminal record, and it'll be erased tomorrow.
That's true.
You're only doing it for yourself.
That's true. Well, you're not doing it for your ego, and you're also destroying property
for other form lovers of the art form, I should say.
Yeah, you're doing it for your fellow art lovers.
the few out there who appreciate it.
The fellow art lovers. No, I mean, I think that makes sense, though. I mean, I think that I feel like the gallery museum construct has I feel like it's loosened a bit as far as like the absolute grip, it feels like people are doing things a little bit differently, occasionally at least.
Yeah, I think there's innumerable possibilities. I mean, there's kind of like a space in front of us that's so unexplored. And I think in many ways, in art, I think people hold on to the traditions, the traditional mediums, as much as the traditional exhibition spaces. But a lot of times, unless there's something there that's disruptive, you would never think of it. And just having gestures in the world, having moves out there that can, spark your imagination, that can make you go places that you never go before. I think that's really, for me, there's a lot of energy there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like a daily practice that you adhere to, or do you wake up and let God lead?
That's a pretty loaded question.
No, I just mean like I Jason and I both are big routine guys. You know what I mean? Like we get up, we do this, we basically do the same thing every day, no matter where we are. You know,
I
within
let God
reason.
lead. God takes the wheel a little bit, but yeah, I like to have a little plan worked out, or else idle hands.
Yeah. I did, because I feel like when you're producing at the scale you're producing, there has to be some sort of regimen to keep it on the tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I really love kind of going to the studio to, and I do like that repetition, but at the same time, what we do here is pretty diverse. We're kind of working on, architecture, music, film, sculptures, experimentation. Is pretty loose and pretty open, and I love that energy. I love that kind of friction where mediums aren't segregated, and there's room for them to flow and kind of rub up against each other. That, to me, that space in between is often the most interesting space.
Yes. Are you able to have 5 plates spinning at once and then keep them all going and a little friction rubbing against each other, or is that something that comes naturally to you, or you have to be aware and work at it?
Yeah, I think that's so well put. I feel most comfortable in those situations when there's kind of multiple things happening, multiple projects happening. Like, right now is a really diverse time. You have a project in Egypt where we're working with the saltwater oasis, and we're finding ways where we can take this water and irrigate it. It can grow crystals. It can grow crystal architecture, crystal artworks. We have projects in India right now where we're working with different artisans and craftspeople and merging that with like the digital realm.
Hold on. You said you're rerouting water to grow crystals? I'm gonna need to hear a little more about that.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna need to hear, because I don't really understand those words being put together like that. So if you could just kind of let me know. Now, I don't need to get into the science weeds, but a little explanation might help.
Yeah, this is a project we were asked to do an artwork, a land art project in Egypt. The area itself has an oasis that has a very, very high salt content.
Like a literal oasis, like you hear about on cartoons and stuff. They're real ones out there.
Yeah, I mean it's oasis in that it's water in the middle of the desert, and
I didn't think those things still existed anymore. With all that's going on in the world, that's all. Carry on.
It's a dying art, is my guess.
It's one of the few oases left.
All right, so you got an oasis in Egypt, and they're calling you.
Yeah,
they're calling you. Okay, got it.
We got an oasis. Get dog on the horn. What are we? Okay, so then whose idea is it to be like, all right, we have this high salt content body of water in the middle of a desert. Let's call this guy in Venice Beach to come do what exactly?
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, it was a friend of mine who's an art curator. He's looking to do several projects out there, and it's just an open invitation. Like, come out here, and if you have any ideas. And while I was there, I realized like the salt was kind of the main kind of geological aspect of this area, and it was also an area where the Egyptian government was cutting it out of the earth and selling it to Europe for the winter, so they could douse their roads with salt. And I just thought this raw material is being birthed here, and it exists in huge quantities. Maybe we could use this. Maybe we could make an artwork that doesn't have a carbon footprint, where we're not fabricating something somewhere else and bringing it in. It was just kind of like a personal thought, a challenge that I had. And so we took this idea. We put together like a small team from MIT. We brought them out there for about a month and a half, and we kind of developed an irrigation system so we could mist and spray almost like sprinklers with timers.
Doug, this is fucking wild, and I gotta say, I'm impressed. This is some wild shit.
I don't think this is not art anymore. This is a new word.
No, this is honestly, I'm like, you're saying a lot of shit, and I'm understanding. I would say 65% of it, and it's really blowing my top. I gotta say, I don't. So you got the scientists from MIT to come design an irrigation system, because that's obviously not your area of expertise. I don't mean to assume, but okay, that's okay. Just want to be fair.
Well, he's got canals down, oases not so much.
That's true. Canals and oases are a little different. So you call these guys from MIT, and they're just like, hell yeah, we're getting on an Egypt Air flight. We'll see you in Cairo. Let's figure this shit out. Is it that simple?
I mean, the long story short, yeah.
And how do you know which people in the world? Like, do you just Google like who knows a lot about crystal spraying irrigation in the Middle East? Like how how do you find these specialists
Yeah.
to go do this unique thing?
Well, I think one thing leads to another, and there was a friend of mine, Sandy, who is making systems for 3D printing Earth, and
What?
I talked to him, and he put together a group of people. But
Sandy's making sand?
I've banged Sandy's line. He got the scientists on the horn. We're good to go. Okay, so
3D printing Earth?
I don't even understand.
That's
okay,
cool.
so how far along?
All of this, like I said, this transcends art. This is a Bjork video in my mind now.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm in, Doug.
You're like, that's the
I love it. Yeah.
What is the well explain to me what the end result that you're looking for is. Like what is the goal for you from like a artist standpoint? Like what is the final product?
Yeah, right. So a project like this, first I want to kind of innovate a way to make something where we can control this salt water, where we could build something out of it, and to use as a building technique. And I think beyond that, can we create a series of pavilions, of domes and spaces that can be, in this area that are grown completely out of what's there already?
I mean, that is pretty. I just don't. I don't know. I don't have that kind of curiosity inside of me. I think is the problem. I'm not driven. I'm not driven.
No,
the way
you are not. No, you're not, Chris. Your job is to once the geometric dome has been created through crystal mist. Your job is to go there and write about it for your GQ newsletter. His job is to make it.
That's honestly, that is true.
And my job is to double tap it on Instagram and be like, that looks dope as hell.
That looks dope. Wow. That is, have you spent a lot of time in Egypt? I quite like it there. I had a really good time.
Yeah. When were you there last? Tell me about it.
It's been a while. I went for a wedding actually, of a friend who is from there. And like the rehearsal dinner was like on the Nile, like you know what I mean. Like we took a boat on the Nile, but I was in Cairo for like 5 or 6 days. I've said this before: Sphinx more impressive than the pyramids for me, which is an unpopular opinion, but I just that's how I feel.
And he's not a pet lover.
I'm not. I'm not a pet lover. But when you go, are you staying for a while? Like, are you there for a month at a time, or a couple weeks?
A couple weeks, and something like this is kind of an ongoing project, and that's a lot of things we do are like that. They're kind of they take time and they have to be developed, and a lot of things are in different and diverse places, which I really love.
No, that makes it sound. I mean, that makes it really fun. I mean, going to the studio is great, but going all over the world is also great.
So you've done a lot of these large scale projects that can take a long time, a lot of people, months, years to complete. What's something that sounds like super daunting to you, if any? Like
that's a interesting question. Like what's daunting, and is time daunting? Is committing yourself to a year or a few years to make something that you're infinitely curious about or you really believe in? And I think that to me there are certain projects that create enormous obstacles, and whether that they're going to be there from the outset or not. I think that's an interesting kind of period creatively, like when you have something in front of you, that you're really committed to, but you don't really know if it could be totally realized. And I think that you then have to be more agile. You have to kind of work around things. You have to be more creative in how you solve problems.
Well, that leads me to are there things that you have set out to achieve and you got a couple years in, you're like, fuck it, this ain't gonna work? Like I put all this time, I put all this effort in. I don't think it can actualize the way I want it to.
You scrapped it.
Yeah. Your rap album never came out. Is there anything else on that list?
Definitely the gangster rap album. I was having a hard time. Like
some of the clearances were tough.
It was a little soft. It was a little soft, I have to say.
You were too articulate, I think, was the problem. I think that's the.
Doug came a little soft. Well, speaking of music, you're an ambient head, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I love music.
Yeah.
Ambient music, though. You like...
I'm talking about ambient specifically. Obviously, you love music. You create it. But ambient specifically, what's your relationship with it? How'd you first discover it? What do you use it for?
Yeah, I mean, I really, I'm kind of listening to music and using music constantly in the projects I do. Some of them are more like music in the front. Others are, collaborations where they're, kind of part of almost a sonic tapestry. And there's other projects we've done which, are really live music activations. There was a project we did several years ago called Station to Station, and that project was we put together a train. It was 12 train cars, and it went 4,000 miles across America, and the train cars were retrofitted to become music studios, film studios, and each time it stopped, we would stage happenings, and we would have, a handful of different musicians, kind of performances explode in that place at that train station and then move on. And, something like that was really, like, the music was really front and center, whether it was a band like Suicide or, I don't know, Patti Smith or Ariel Pink or something.
I remember this. No,
Yeah.
I remember this. It was like a pretty wild. I mean, the three artists you just named playing in train stations alone is pretty mind blowing.
Yeah.
So I think that probably worked, but that's not. I mean, that's a big fucking undertaking.
Yeah, that project had a lot of moving parts for sure, and
But is there a documentary?
yeah, there's actually a film of it. It's kind of
That's what I thought.
It's a pretty weird film. The film is actually it's something like 58-minute films, so it's 58 1-minute films. So we just made like a film a minute for the whole project.
So you're not seeing full performances.
Yeah, you're just seeing these kind of slices. It's kind of kaleidoscope. This
Okay.
kind of, turbine.
I like that. It probably moves really fast.
You don't need to see a whole Patti Smith set, right, Chris?
That's honestly, I don't. Honestly, I don't. That's a really good point. I don't need to see almost a full set from anyone. Is the problem? That's where my attention span is at right now.
It's perfect for the modern times.
No, I mean it is. It is. Our attention spans are low, and I'm not immune to that. I'm not above that.
Well, so, speaking of those kind of bands, New York noise kind of vibe, what's your favorite color of noise?
Oh, there's so many colors of noise, right?
Indeed.
I mean, I guess white noise.
You like it white?
Okay.
No pink, no brown?
I'd take the rainbow spectrum.
Okay.
I'll take. I like white best, Jason, but brown close second.
Okay.
Because I have an app on my cellular phone that I use when I'm flying, and you can adjust the levels on every color of noise to make your perfect noise mix. Yeah, to drown out the babies and stuff.
I just realized that like the pink, brown, and white noise, Neapolitan, vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, something there, huh, Doug? If you want to talk about the intersection of art, food,
Are
and sound?
you bringing it back to the Air One ice cream section?
Yeah,
Clearly, I haven't eaten lunch yet, Doug. I've got food on the mind, but
Yeah.
there's something there. I like to try to find where different things rub together. I'm a fan of food friction, just like you.
Yeah.
I had strawberry ice cream last night actually, and I hadn't had that in a very long time. I have to say it hit when you mix it with chocolate, it hits the spot.
Sure. What a classic pairing.
Strawberry solo is too crazy.
No, that's
crazy.
wrong. No. I like the pure vanilla, the pure chocolate. Let it speak for itself.
Okay, fair enough. Doug, what's your ice cream flavor?
You guys are making me hungry. I haven't had lunch either.
You're gonna. What's your what ice cream? Are you going Rocky Road? What are we doing?
What are you getting over at Salt and Straw with the lady? What's going down?
I think that pralines and cream, I'm going to have to go.
Wow, that's a left field.
Pralines
That's
and
left
cream.
field. Pralines and cream is delicious. That feels like an extra special treat, I have to say.
One time I sat next to this guy, and
Too sweet for me.
an older fella, and I said, what do you do? What's your background? The guy said, my family started Baskin Robbins. And I said, really, the ice cream place? I said, do you have experience working there? He said, yeah, even though we own the whole company, my dad forced me to work there when I was a teenager. I said, so what did you learn? Do you have some secret ingredients you can share with me? And he kind of got really like serious for a second, and leaned over and he said, there's these 3 ingredients, and you put them together and they make this flavor that's just unbelievable. And nobody knows about it. I remember this is ages ago. I wrote it down on a piece of paper or something. I fucking lost it. But, it was like the family secret, here you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was expecting it to be like a bullshit answer, like just cream, eggs, and sugar, and you've got ice cream. So you're saying he really
it's
did
perfect.
have
Yeah,
some
that's what I
some
thought.
type of secret code to unlock a Baskin Robbins flavor.
Yeah. Or maybe just spent too many hours there.
Yeah, he probably both. I appreciate him having to work there, though. That's good parenting.
I agree,
That's good
1,000%. Keep an eye on
That's
him.
good parenting.
I'll use AI to figure out what those 3 ingredients might be. On that subject, have you figured out a way to use AI for good,
We're good.
as in not for evil?
Good can mean monetary gain. I mean, it's fine. Whatever.
No.
Oh no. Oh
No,
no.
I'm not talking about monetary gain. I'm talking about everyone hates AI for many, many reasons. It can't do the things that humans do. But sooner or later, somebody like you is going to figure out a way to use AI for something awesome and positive with a good result at the end.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, right? I don't want to be the person that hacks AI for the betterment of humankind.
I'm not saying it has you or a big thinker like you. I feel like we need something like that to happen. More so, have you experimented with AI at all for any of your practices?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all using technology all the time, and in a lot of ways we're using AI without even knowing it. But maybe the bigger question is really, how can we use technology, not technology using us?
I'm getting used.
Yeah,
I'm getting fucking used.
Do you feel like technology? How is technology using you, Doug?
I think it's it's porous. I think technology is in so much of what we do without us even knowing it. I mean, from the algorithms to our patterning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where is it not almost?
Well, I mean, different people are plugged into the algorithm more or less than others. You seem like a guy who's a little unplugged.
You mean metaphorically or figuratively?
Mm.
That's a long pause.
Maybe a little of both, but I mean, I think
I just mean quite literally. I feel like you're a guy. You're busy. You're doing lots of things. You're creating things and loving and enjoying life. You don't spend a lot of time scrolling on TikTok, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't spend a lot of time watching your shows on Hulu.
Yeah. I mean, I try to stay away from the screen a bit.
I wish I had that. I wish I had that kind of power. So you're saying that if you're home kicking it after a long day at the studio, you're not just mindlessly scrolling on Instagram like Jason and I. You're doing something more productive.
Probably not more productive, but
okay. You're like, I'm doing something else. It's not good, but it's not a phone.
Chris he'll get home, he'll do stuff, he'll look at his phone, blah blah blah. Maybe there'll be some TV on the background. You get home, you smoke a joint, maybe you'll put an album on and do some journaling or something in a cool room of your house.
That sounds so poetic. I mean, I need quadraphonic if I'm going to do that.
That's true.
Yeah,
that would enhance your.
We need to switch you on to a quadraphonic sound, man.
It does.
Bring it on.
I was just talking in the intro about a friend who went to this like retreat in Germany. That's like a famous place where you go to like reset and you don't really use your phone. You don't eat, like it's basic. And he said he felt amazing. And I'm wondering if I need that. If I can could you handle something like that? Could you really be disconnected for that long?
How long?
Like a week?
Probably not.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. I mean, look, I appreciate the honesty because I definitely couldn't unless I was paying thousands of dollars and I thought it was really going to help me. I think the paying for it helps.
Well, what about if you get paid for it? You get paid for it or you pay for it. Not if it's a zero sum transaction.
No, I think I need to come out of pocket thousands of dollars to make it feel worth it. Is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that would make me feel more committed to it.
There's a lot of psychological studies behind that.
Very psychological.
If GQ pays for it, it won't be the same.
No, it would be free, and that's not. It doesn't do the same. It doesn't do the same thing.
I think the recipe for me is is going someplace far away, a dirt road, no city, no civilization, and just kind of getting lost for a while. I like that kind of sense of discovery, that sense of kind of being untethered.
Where are those places to go now, though? Like what is the ultimate destination in that realm?
I mean, there's so many places, right?
He'll go to Joshua Tree. He's got a house over there built out of mirrors. He'll go over and get lost.
That's true. Joshua Tree. I've actually never been to Joshua Tree.
There's nothing there for you.
So I don't know how remote it is. But it's not. Is it still that remote? I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think my vote would be to leave America.
Okay. All right. Well, look, that's fine. I thought the Tesla was charged. My bad. We can go to LAX. It's all good.
But when you want to do let's say a weekend unplug, you go from Venice, you go out to Joshua Tree, you go onto a dirt road, you untether, and you get lost. Is that literally or metaphorically? Like, are you leaving your phone in your Airbnb and just walking alone in the desert with your canteen full of water?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm alluding to is a little bit more like, getting away from city civilization structure, someplace that ideally that I haven't been before, that I don't know, that's new to me. I don't think that I would personally gravitate towards, You have time off, go to London. Go to New York.
That's funny, Doug. That's funny, Doug. That's all I want to do. I have that's if I can. I only want to go to major cities. I'm not being funny. I think that's the only thing that I really like too. The beach is boring. The mountains are boring. The desert's boring. I need the action, but I'm not using my brain the way you are. I think there's different. You need to do that probably for your work as well as to feel good.
I think he's able to experience silence in his mind more than you are.
I think every person is probably
living, breathing. Of man-made structures, have you ever been to the Sphere in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. If you could book anyone to play there, who would it be?
Aphex Twin.
Okay. I mean,
Doug, we wait until 45 minutes for you to start saying the right shit to me. Come on, bro. I didn't know you were a twin. Okay, what's the intake for Aphex Twin at the Sphere? You're leaving there in a wheelchair. What kind of drugs are we taking?
Yeah, well,
I need the appetizer, the main course, and dessert, honey.
Yeah, because as a sober person, I couldn't go see Aphex Twin at the Sphere. I want to know what you have to do to enjoy that.
Have you gentlemen been?
I haven't been.
No.
I'm desperate to go. No one that I care about has played, but I also know that doesn't matter. Like it's more about the experience.
Yeah.
Did you see someone there? Or did you just go check it out?
Yeah, I just went to check it out, but I saw the Dead there.
Oh, you did see? Are you into that, or is it more just like they're playing?
They're playing, and I have some cousins that are super into it, so I took them to check it out. But I thought it was really amazingly done. Like it's really kind of is built from ground up. Like everything is new, and like the sight lines, like what you hear, like the choreography, the imagery, and it's interesting, and it kind of goes back to one of the things we were talking about earlier. We were talking about that idea of resolution, and what's the meaning of resolution? And you go to a space like that, and it's so over the top. It's so kind of immersive. When you, with exclamation marks. But what does it give you? And and what can you make that really is optimized there?
Does it feel like a musician is performing, or does it feel like bigger than that? I guess is my question.
Yeah, it feels kind of post musician, like beyond the musician, like the musician's like a small little stage and a soundtrack, fueling this kind of enormous audio visual freak out.
That's what I think would throw me off. I think is that like I'm so used to watching bands play in the same way for 20 years.
Yeah,
I think seeing it like that would really throw me. But The Dead, I think, is the one I would want to see, actually, because I feel like it's the most out of my zone experience I could possibly have. Like, U2 is pretty normal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the Eagles is too normal. I think the Grateful Dead is like maybe the best possible, besides like DJs that are known for, that are known for kind of like visuals. I think the Grateful Dead is probably the best version of what should play there, which is crazy for me to say because I don't like them.
Yeah, after you left the Sphere, were you like angry, or were you inspired to create anything? Were you like, son of a bitch, these guys did something really cool and I didn't, or did you instantly have ideas on how you can, take that into what you're doing?
Yeah, I remember I split before it was over, and I just kind of like, took a walk down the, boulevard, whatever they call it in Vegas, and it was
the boulevard of broken dreams.
I like that Vegas has different words for
I had $500 burn a hole in my pocket. I had to get down to the MGM.
There's a lot of lyrics we can apply.
There are.
The mescaline was kicking in. You had to take a walk down Las Vegas Boulevard. What happened next?
Yeah, I think it was just kind of, taking it all in. It's so kind of like on. It's so, and then you walk outside and it's like, there's a guy drifting around. There's someone living in their car. There's
sure. Life is back.
Like the usual kind of ragtag Vegas. But also I was having flashbacks, not literal flashbacks, but we did a project in Vegas once, and we were there for weeks, and we did like police drive-alongs. We did meetings with like the inventor of card counting. It was this really weird trip, and it kind of exposed me at that time to this whole alternate universe of like the kind of industry of Vegas. And I've got to tell you guys this one story that was kind of insane. So at one point we're at a homeless shelter in Vegas, and my friend's like interviewing someone over here, and I'm hanging out. There's a bunk bed. And this guy rolls down from the top of the bunk bed. He says, "Hey man, I heard you talking, and I got to tell you about something." And I said, "What is it?" And he jumps down. He kind of gets me in a corner where it's private. He says, "I've been working on this plan, and my plan is to hold Las Vegas hostage." And I said, "Really?" And then he kind of rolls out this map.
Really?
And on the map, you see like the freeways going through the city. You see the city at the core. It says, he says, so you see here, there's like, this is where the water is. This is where the electric is. We're going to close off the water, close off the electric. This freeway is the only artery that goes through. We're going to close off the two, like, whatever, like north and southbound lanes and stuff, and we're going to hold the whole city hostage." And, it was this kind of like insane plan, but this guy had like spent a lot of time researching it.
Like he wasn't far off. Like it could work.
Like it was kind of plausible if you're writing a script or something, I guess. But
yeah, sure.
So at the end, you're like, "Here's my card. Let's talk. I like your mind."
So I was let's collaborate. He's like,
I know these guys in ISIS that you have to meet. We'll get coffee at Sight Glass.
I would love to collaborate.
How's your Wednesday?
I'll find them in row 3 at Air One. And so I was kind of like, I'm just going to see where this goes. I'm just going it's a pretty good conversation. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, where are you from? What are you doing in this homeless shelter? He goes, "Well, I'm from Alaska, and I had to leave Alaska." I said, "Why do you have to leave Alaska?" He said, "Well, I start fires." I said, "What do you mean start fires?" And he says, I burnt down some buildings and a house or something, and they're onto me. So I had to flee. So now I'm in Vegas, this like homeless shelter. And, this is like the instigator of this kind of master plan, and he's like kind of breaking this whole thing down. And, it's just kind of like one of these moments that kind of, kind of gives you a slightly different view of a city.
Yeah. Usually Chris has talked about it. He's been to Alaska before, and it's sort of like when you're on the run, Alaska is the last stop on the train in America when you're really trying to hide out. I've never heard of anyone having to flee Alaska, and I guess Las Vegas is where you go.
Alaska is one of the weirdest places I've ever been. I don't need to. It was pretty beautiful. It's like pretty breathtaking, but there's no being there feels weird. It like doesn't feel good to be there. If that makes sense.
It does. I wonder what it has to happen to somebody for them to really get off on specifically lighting fires that they shouldn't be doing. There's been a lot of arsonists being caught in LA in the last month or so. David Spade's putting 5 bands on anyone's head who catches an arsonist. But what do you think it is to become a twisted fire starter, Doug?
Wow, that was a Prodigy reference, no?
That's right. It was. Don't congratulate
Whenever I have to make a bad joke like that, I try to, back in and come in through the back door so you don't know it's coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Much like a real fire starter.
Jason, it's like the kind of teenage boy who like kills cats.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really twisted in a way that like I don't know if we could get to the bottom of it. Mm-hmm. I think it's like a you're born with it.
And to admit it to a stranger, like, "Hey, I love fires, baby."
Yeah, I love fire. Yeah, I know we just met, but I'm on the run for starting several fires.
I should be killed by the government, but here I am.
Yeah. Took 30 minutes.
Being in Las Vegas for that long is twisted. Even though you had something to do, I just feel like after a couple days, anyone can come unraveled.
I'd like to go every 2 years or so. What is a non-artistic career that you would be satisfied with, Doug?
Oh, wow. I'll get back to you on that one.
Have you ever had a real job?
So many.
Okay, you have, but like
when you say real, is it in air quotes?
Like not a career, but you like work jobs as a kid or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I can tell you a very good job. So I had a job that was it was in the Central Valley. I was in a kiwi farm orange and kiwi farm. And kiwis, what actually happens with kiwis is the kiwis that you find when, you guys are at Air One and you find a kiwi, it's one small fuzzy ball, right?
Yes.
Actually, they grow on vines that are similar to grapevines, and they often grow together, so they look a bit like testicles. And these kiwis that grow together, in doubles and triples, are not accepted by the packing houses. They won't buy them from the farmers.
Get those deformities out of here.
Right. They might upset customers.
Feed them to the hogs.
That was my job. My job was all summer, for 4 months, to put on your music, in darkness and go and pick these things, until it was about 115 degrees, take a nap, then go back later and do some more, and it was this kind of strange summer job when you're, whatever, like 16 or something, because at the end of the day, you'd be at, some Mexican restaurant or something, and you shake someone's hand, but you couldn't stop squeezing. So you'd be squeezing like everything around you because you'd be like, pruning these vines all day.
I can't be held responsible. I can't be held responsible for the squeezing.
So you would do it at night because it was so hot?
Super early morning and then into dusk and stuff. I mean, it was just like an inferno like weather up there.
That's a great.
Yeah.
That's actually a really interesting. Like, I feel like sometimes that level of manual labor can be like meditative almost.
It's also exhausting.
Yeah, you're asleep. Like, you sleep good every night, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember anything that you were listening to on your little Walkman?
Oh yeah, good question.
During testicular grabbing season?
Yeah. I think I might have blanked that out.
Yeah.
You probably did. That's a good one. That's like a real job, though. You know what I'm saying? That's like hard work that you earn your money doing.
Are kiwi fruit triggering to you now?
I haven't eaten any in about 30 years.
Yeah, had a feeling.
Yeah,
that answers that.
It's a shame they're so good for us, right? a lot of quality enzymes in there. I did not know. I know a lot about food. I did not know that that's how kiwis can often come, and I'm sure there's an organization somewhere in Ojai that's figuring out a thing to do with all the ugly kiwis that look like nutsacks.
We have to
at this very moment.
We have to save them. We have to reuse them, reappropriate.
Okay, so that is the non-artistic career that you'd be satisfied with.
It could have been a different path.
Just fruit picking, going back to your roots, brother.
Path less trodden.
It could. Yes, it could have. A different path is a good way to put it.
So while you're doing that kind of labor now, let's say you're working on a sculpture or something where you might throw on the headphones and use your body for a long time versus the brain. What podcasts do you find yourself listening to?
Oh, I don't know about podcasts, but I would turn you on because of your musical references you keep dropping. I'd turn you on to someone who you might be interested in. Electronic musician named Bjarki.
How is that spelled?
Bjarki. And he's kind of Icelandic, Berlin. And this stuff is pretty extreme.
Okay.
He's also
extreme in what sense? If you could just give a few adjectives.
Well, he's made quite a bit of music for us for Lightscape, and he's going to come out in several weeks and do a live set inside the installation. So you guys should definitely come down and hear it.
I'm down.
But I think for him, he's really committed to just kind of destroying the beats, just like really fucking it up. And he's kind of one of the more extreme practitioners you might check out. And
the internet says Icelandic music maker, sound programmer, and provocateur, unpredictable, unconventional, reshaping electronic music on his own terms and rejecting trends.
Yeah. And staying in my guest house. Yeah.
Okay, shout out to Bjarki. He's got a resident advisor mix. I'll give it a listen.
That's good. We learned something new. Thanks, Doug. We appreciate you joining us today on How Long Gone.
If I can contribute one song, it's a gift. Thank you.
Oh, hey, no, honestly, I feel the same way. And we'll
namaste to you, brother.
We'll come check you out in LA. Good to see you.
Deal.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Later.
All right. Pleasure.